It can be very useful to include a left and right hand coordination exercise in our warm-up routine. And I'm about to show you one that I always use. Before doing that, let's go back to the basic for a second. I always like to show this example to my students, especially the beginners or those who struggle with the coordination of the two hands. Let's go and play this exercise on a table or on our guitar in this position. We can have two hands doing two completely different movements. One hand will swipe from left to right, and the other will tap the guitar. Now, this will probably look and sound very basic, but what happens if we try to combine the two movements together? I'm sure that for some of you it will be completely fine, and for others, I don't know, you might find it kind of tricky. So let's break it down. For each of these movements, we can find an initial point and a halfway through point. For example, the swipe movement will have an initial point, halfway through, initial, and so on. Same thing for the tapping. Initial point, halfway through, and back. So in case these two movements are not easy for you at the beginning, try to really focus on these initial points and halfway through points and really try to play them together. Let's have a look. Initial points, halfway through, and back. Halfway, and back. Once you're confident, you will be able to swap the movement. Swap. Then again. And so on. But now back to the guitar, where we can apply the same concepts on a smaller scale, the scale of our fingers. Let's take, for example, a very basic movement. With our left hand, we will do 0 to 0. And with our right hand, M-I-M. On our left hand, our starting point will be when our second finger is lifted, and our halfway through point will be when the second finger hits the string. So, starting point, halfway through, starting point, halfway through, and so on. On our right hand, our starting point will be the M playing the first string. The halfway through point will be when our index does the same, and the M goes back, and so on. Starting point, halfway. When you combine them, make sure that you focus on synchronizing the initial points and the halfway through points. Now let's have a look at this warm-up exercise that really insists on these concepts. Of course, you can go down to the 6th string and then back up to the 1st. Then of course you can play the inversion of this exercise. Now, I just played these exercises very briefly, only using I am on my right hand. But you can use 12 two fingers combinations, and if you want, you can apply 3 fingers combinations to this exercise. You can apply rhythmic patterns variations to this bar exercise to make it more interesting.